I am really, really excited, really, really thrilled. It's so nice to see you here with us. I mean, of course, through a screen, but still. So we spoke a little bit. I told you a little bit about our production and theater piece, what it is about. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to hearing from you. I mean, I know your story, but my colleagues don't. I would like to ask you some questions too, but maybe we can do it at the very end of your speech. And just quick presentation. So, of course, you know me. I'm Camilla Dania. Hey. I'm the director and the author of this theater piece called Ma-Donna.
My name is Anna Goya. I'm the dramaturg of the production, and I work as a dramaturg at Theater Freiburg.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, I'm South Tyrolean.
Hi, I'm Samuel. I'm working as the stage designer for this production.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Charlotte and I work as costume designer for the show.
Nice to meet you, Charlotte.
Hello. I'm Dario, assistant director.
Okay, nice to meet you, Dario. We cannot hear you.
You have to switch on your...
To unmute your mic, yes.
You have to... on your screen.
At the bottom, on the left of your iPhone, if you're with your iPhone.
Yeah. Now you should hear
Perfect.
me.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I'm Jana and I'm playing this stuff.
Nice to meet you, Jana.
That would be Martin Müller-Reisinger too. He's an actor too, but he couldn't make it, so here we are. Yeah.
We'll see the recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's a recording. Just let me check. Yes, it's recording. So, well, nice to meet you all, and congratulations for this new project to Camilla and to every one of you. First of all, I introduce myself. I'm Maya Vassallo Di Florio. I'm a priestess of Aphrodite and of the goddess, founder of the Goddess Temple of Rome and of the Roma Goddess Conference. I'm a researcher about the goddess and matriarchies and about Aphrodite especially. I'm a mother of 2 children, Samuele, who is about to be 8 in January, and Taliesin Emrys, who is going to be, he's 4.5 now. And together with my husband, we created this beautiful space. Camilla has seen it. She's been here. And so far, it changed a lot. And it's not only a sacred place, but it's also a research center in anthropological and archaeomythological field in collaboration with La Sapienza University of Rome, and which has been quoted also by University of Turin, John Cabot University, and recently by Oxford University as well. So it's a very precious center where we, we create, we generate culture, we generate and manifest a new vision of a new/old paradigm, and teach and educate people to different models and more balanced and healthier models of existence. So these places like theaters, schools, universities, temples, places of art are the places in which we have a great responsibility. You too. You have a great responsibility because through culture we vehicle messages and we vehicle behavior, mindsets of people. And so what we do with we, I intend also you, it's fundamental. Also, it has a lot in common with politics, because politics is based on culture and spirituality, on values. So the values and the visions we narrate through the culture is a great responsibility we have. And I'm glad that you're producing and enacting, putting on stage such a work like Ma-Donna, because I know Camilla, I know her feminist background. And with feminist, we will see during the talk, I don't intend the submission of women, of men to women, but gender equality and a society based on mutual care and respect. So I think this text, it's very, very important, and I'm glad. I know how much Camilla has worked on it because we are friends since many, 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 many years. And she's like a sister to me. We confront each other continuously among those themes. And I'm very glad that you're gonna enact such a play. So really congratulations and enjoy, have a lot of fun. Also knowing that you're making your part to change the world. We cannot change the world alone, but we can make our little part. So everyone has a little bit of responsibility and power, therefore. So now I would like to let you start asking questions. Why? Because I want that we create like an interweaved communication. So not just a lecture in which I talk and you write down what I say, but a conversation where you ask the proper questions that can be useful to you. Because otherwise, if there is no use, and I talk alone, it's a monologue, can be useful as well, but I really want to say something that responds to your needs in the play.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you very much. Let's go to start. Would you like to add something? Perhaps, okay, I start. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you can tell us about your journey towards the goddess spirituality and what is it? What is it? What is about?
Well, really, it started when I was a child, even if it was quite unconscious, because I was raised as a Christian by my family. But at the same time, there were some contaminations, like I think in every family, especially in Italy. And my grandmother taught me, while being Christian, she taught me how to take off the evil eye, how to enchant the bread while preparing the bread, enchanting in the bread, how to enchant while knitting, how to use herbs and to enchant the herbs. So formulas for stomachache and all stuff like that have been ridiculed for years and confined in the realm of superstition or witchery. But it is indeed the ancient wisdom, women wisdom, because women were the first doctors of hair story that then became history, because all the knowledge started with women that observed the correspondence between the cosmos and the cycles of menstruations, the cycles of seeding, the cycles of nature. And they were the first doctors, the first astrologers, the first mathematicians, the first that discovered agriculture. Women made children and other women birth. So there were doulas, obstetricians. They accompanied, and we have lots of proofs of that in mythology, but also in the recordings of historians, that women accompanied the souls to the other world. They prepared the bodies, the corpses. So there is this continuous relationship with not only life and life on earth, but also afterlife. So with the cycles of nature. And I had a profound feeling of that, a profound connection with the other worlds, not only this world. I had a very strong relationship with nature since I was a child, but also I could perceive, as many children can, unless they are very precociously put in front of a television or a screen or an iPhone. Every child is very open to the perception of energies of other worlds that we cannot deny just because we cannot prove them. Recently, epigenetics, cellular biology, and quantum physics are starting demonstrating how some of the things that priestesses and shamans of the past have always said for millennia, but now it's considered to be true, because now science can tell it's true. And I think it's very arrogant, I don't know what you think, that just because something can be said in scientific words, then it's true. As if the reality is just that the language we can use is just scientific. And what about the poetic language? And what about the bodily language? It's like saying, this thing, I can say it in Italian, but if you cannot tell it in German, it's not true. If there is not a translation possible in German, then what you say, it's not true. Just because the languages are different doesn't mean we cannot vehicle. So as long as I prosecute with my studies, I'm starting being interested also in the psychology of perception and of the different ways of making our brain work, and the different languages we can use in life. And for a long period of time, I was not only raised as a Catholic and a Christian, but I'm daughter to two doctors, and especially from my mother's side, are all intellectual people of medicine or people of literature. But there was underneath this leitmotif of magic, of connection with the earth from my father's side, but also from my mother's side, because I understood spirituality is something that we can deny, but still we have a fundamental human desire, human desire and human need to live spiritually also on a spiritual level. And if it doesn't happen, we feel drained. We feel lack of sense in life. So it's just everything, it's like a mechanism in which we are imprisoned, and at the end we cannot find the sense. And so for a period of time I denied all of these. Not denied, it's just that I was distracted by other stimulus. And then when I came to live here in Rome, I started studying art, studying at university. Then with Camilla, we did the same acting academy, Drama Academy. And I started feeling the connection between the drama techniques, the theater, and the sacredness, because that's how theater was born, from the need to reproduce something sacred, to call in the sacred, to live and experience the sacredness. The first priestesses, the first shamans started enacting, so really being the deer, mother bear. So it was a shamanic technique, and there are many shamanic techniques, for example, with Cocteau and many others that use so indeed it's a bodily experience, so it's a natural experience because we are nature. So the more we are in the body and in the nature and in the emotions and in the relationship between the various parts of ourselves and with the others, the best the play will, the message will be delivered, and not only delivered, experienced. So we are here to have a numinous experience and to facilitate a numinous experience of the divine. That's how theater started. But I didn't know that yet when I started studying drama. I understood later because it went a little bit on parallel. I discovered the goddess, I discovered witchery, and I understood those practices were ancient Proto-European practices that were not opposite, but we can say on another level of what I had learned through my parents, for example, cured with allopathic medicine, but there were other kinds of healing, the healing through touch, the healing through chanting, the healing through the words, the magic words, that indeed are starting being considered by medicine nowadays, because with the same treatment, the patient that feels not a number, that feels loved and cared, as if the doctor is a mother to him or her, that the outcome will be different. So the healing will be accelerated. So there is a power in the words. There is a power in the touch. There is a power in the colors. There is a power in the pleasure that all these surroundings can give to people. And that's why the same illness in persons of similar conditions is treated differently. And if treated in a hospital, in the coldness of a hospital where the person feels like just a number, or in another kind of hospital where the person feels cuddled through the words, through the touch, through the loving touch, etc. So this is where I started walking my path. And then I understood the incredible value of narrations, just because words are very important. I understood, well, let me see how words changed and mapped the reality and changed also the society. If they can change a single person, also the words that we receive when we are children can change our self-esteem, our self-love, and our destiny. So if we receive words of love, we will more likely have success in life because we will have a lot of self-love, self-confidence. If we don't, it's a little bit more difficult. We can still do something, but there's a lot of work to do, both spiritually and psychologically, because there are two different levels. So I said, there must be something in the language and in the narrations that changed the reality for all of us. And indeed, we all are different all over the world. We are similar, but we have different words, different languages, different landscapes, different foods we eat. So different kinds of making our brain work, and different politics and different social structures. So in Italy, things work differently from Germany, differently from Thailand, differently from Iran. You know what's happening in Iran with women. And then I started following the goddess path, just with Aphrodite, because Aphrodite, she was called the great goddess, but what we know about her is just the archetype of the Venus of Botticelli that depicts her as a shy, adolescent-like, beautiful and scornful, and even weak woman, to be protected, to be loved, and at your pleasure. While I said, oh, that's strange, because she was called the great goddess. Let me see, how is it possible that such a doll goddess, because she looks like a doll, was called the great goddess. And then I discovered, and that's the work I did, and collected in my book, Aphrodite Unveiled, which Camilla is reading, but it's for now just in Italian. I discovered she had lots and lots of other epithets. So she had a dark aspect. She was a goddess of the underworld. She was a goddess of darkness. She was called Androphonos, the killer, like Kali. I said, okay, this is not exactly what I thought about Aphrodite. She had a warrior aspect. She's not a war goddess. She became a warrior goddess because she had to, with patriarchy, because before patriarchy there were no wars, no traces of war in all the escapes that have been done. But she is a goddess that can hold their boundaries. She is a queen. She is a goddess of focus with bow and arrow before it was co-opted by her son Eros. She had a bow and arrow, so she was a goddess of focus. She was a goddess of metallurgy, of alchemy. And I said, oh my goodness, also a mother goddess, golden goddess. She has almost 1,000 epithets that show us that she is multiple, like a diamond. She is not just one aspect, one little slice of the cake. She is the whole cake. And I said, okay, this is what has been done to all of us women, to all of us people, putting labels on us. And so the Roman way of saying, the Latin way of saying divide et impera, which means share and command, have power over. Okay, to divide for our limited human comprehension can be useful. So when we have a project, we divide into little steps. Okay, it's good to have an overall vision at the end. We have to analyze and then to synthesize. But when all of this was done with a deliberate will to control, then it was the end. So that's what happened. That's the beginning of the wrong narration, because at the beginning we were narrated all born from a goddess, from a vagina. And indeed, we all are born from a vagina. Every being is born from a mother, not only human beings. Every being is born from a mother. So I said, okay, and then how did it come that we were narrated as born from a father like Aphrodite? She is a parthenogenic goddess that gives birth to herself. And then in the Hesiod narration, she is narrated as born from the testicles of Uranus. Athena is born as she is a parthenogenic goddess as well, but she's born in the patriarchal narrations from the hand of Zeus. We women are born from the rib of a man. So as the feminist philosopher, the French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir wrote in her book, The Second Sex, what happened is that there was a deliberate mythological submission with the change of narrations of women to men. So these narrations are important. When people say, it's just a joke, it's just a story, don't get so upset if they make some jokes about women, some jokes about putting the hand of on our bottom. It's just a joke. Okay, I'm gonna slap your face and we'll see if it's just a joke. I will answer you the same thing and we will see if it's a joke for you. Through narrations, through jokes also, through little habits, little habits, little words, we can do very big things. So we really have to be constantly aware. It's a matter of being aware while we are constantly dragged by the food, all these programs about the food, programs for doing anything. We are little by little invited to use our brain and our awareness as less as possible. With iPhones, TVs, continuous stimulus of chatting, noises. But indeed, making questions to ourselves and to other people that are responsible for the cultural, political, and economical situation of the world is fundamental. Asking questions. So, and it starts from school. It starts from the places in which we act, culture. And therefore, it's so important why you are enacting such a piece, such a play, because that will stimulate new questions in people's brains, in people's consciousness, and we'll see it's something. So are you sure that things work like that? That it has always to be like that? Or can't we change something? So coming back to the narrations are important because they can produce reality. This is the power of the spoken word. And Jung defined what happened as the inversion of the biological fact, because we are born from a vagina, but and we've known that for 3 million years, in which goddess was adored as mother goddess. But in the last 5,000 years, when patriarchy started taking over, and especially in the last 2,000 years for Christianity and all the big monotheistic patriarchal religions, there was this inversion of the biological fact. And from being born from a mother, we started being born from the head or the logos. So glorification of the thought instead of the body and of the emotions. The word, the logos of God. And or from the ribs of a man, and that put the situation totally unbalanced between not only men and women, but the result is all the disaster in the climate change we are seeing, the wars, because at the beginning we were like in the geometry of the circle, in harmony with the cycles of nature. And everything was in a circle, the circle of life, like the Lion King says. The circle of life was an awareness that we kept in the body, both a time circle, the circle of seasons and cycles in general, both the space and the concept of circle, because being in a circle, we all are equal, men and women, but the value of a person is the same of a value of a tree, a value of a cow, a value of a horse. Well, patriarchy started the very first day in which we put a rope around a bull neck to cultivate the land. And then it took over because we thought we were able, and then we had the right to exploit and rape Mother Nature, to divide Mother Nature into pieces like we've done with the goddess, with Aphrodite and with all the other goddess. So like taking off, cutting off violently all the pieces of the goddess on a narration level, on a spoken word level, on an imaginative level, but also practically, we started dividing the land and saying, this is my property. This is mine, like we can own the land. And creating walls of separation between human beings, human and animals, and seeing everything not in the terms of relationship, but in the terms of use. So we use the land, we use the animals with intensive breedings of cows, of chickens, of tunas, everything. It's what's the use for me? We use other human beings. And we are nature as they are nature. Our body is done of nature. If we pollute the waters, we pollute ourselves, because those water, that's what we drink. Those foods and those animals, in some cases, for those who are not vegetarian, it's what we eat. So we are polluting ourselves because we conceive ourselves as separated from the mother nature. And separated from our mothers, then there is another chapter. But yes, it's understanding that we are goddess, our body is goddess, Mother Nature, and we all are born from a mother's womb. Maybe our biological mother womb, but we are son and daughters of Mother Earth, and all the cosmos is born from a vagina of a black hole. So the black hole works like that, takes few drops of materia and makes out galaxies. Like we women, we take few drops of sperm and we take out human beings.
Maya, I would like to ask you something, if I may, or...
Yes.
Yeah. So you spoke a lot of women, and I would like to ask you, does the spirituality of the goddess include also non-binary person or transgender? And if so, how, in which ways? Mm-hmm. And my second question is, how would you, so is the goddess Mother Nature? Is it a feminine energy? Does it exist? This feminine energy, does it exist? And yeah, could you tell us about?
This is a very beautiful question, because recently I've been asked by many transgender men and women to have access to the training I teach for priestesses and priests of Aphrodite and sacred sexuality. And I was astonished, and I said, why are you asking me that? Of course you can. You are a person. I can teach you something. You can bring the goddess. So, and they told me that in some traditions they were not accepted because they have they are not biological women. They were not born women, or they were not born men. So this is a very strange situation, because those people are finding their space in society, but also in a sacred path that can represent them somehow. So I always tell them, I'm going to show you. Aphrodite, among her epithets and her iconography, she's also, there is another person. Okay. Jana, you're entering.
That's me because my iPhone is.
Okay.
Could you let me in? Thank you.
You're welcome. So I tell them that Aphrodite is iconographically and mythologically narrated also as Aphroditos, which means Aphrodite with a penis, or birded Aphrodite with a bird and mustache. And that's, where is it? I want to show you the image. That makes us understand that she is an inclusive goddess, absolutely. Where is it? I cannot find it. Well, when I will see it, I will show you. But it's very easy to find it also on the internet because it's very famous. Mm-hmm. Or is in the lover chapter, maybe. Mm-hmm.
But if I get you right, so that the cult of the goddess is accessible for women, non-binary people, transgender people, but no men?
Also by men.
Okay.
I'm teaching to three men this year. This is Aphroditos. I don't know if you can see, she has a penis and breasts. Aphroditos. So there are people who are hermaphroditos.
Yeah, it's
all the people that want to train are sons, daughters of the goddess, whatever they define, the way they define. Every person should have the right to self-define themselves. What we don't have the right is to define other people. So if a person is not a biological woman but feels like a woman. I have a student of mine, he's a man, but he feels like a woman and asks us to be called Morgana, and he feels more like a woman. He's a gay man, but he feels a woman inside, not interested in transition, just wants to be defined Morgana. And what's the problem with that? Okay, we will call you Morgana. First of all, I want to do a disclaimer because I'm still studying that. It's something that the gender, I'm not enough informed. What I know is that Aphroditic philosophy and spirituality I teach, it's inclusive. Of course, considering the respect and the mutual care as the base of everything. So the values are not in contrast. The Aphroditic values are not in contrast with how people can define themselves. And recently I've been asked by a former man who did the transition. Now she's a woman and a lesbian woman. So a lot of confusion created around that. She always tells me, Maya, you don't imagine, when I tell people in Italy, especially where the things are a little bit slower than in America, when I tell people I was a man, now I'm a woman and lesbian, they don't know, they go panicking, really panicking. And I say, okay, you are a daughter of Mother Nature. So you can learn, you have a soul, you can have your own training, your own tradition, you can follow your own path, spiritual path, you have this right. So of course there can be trainings just for biological women. They have the right to constitute into groups. There are trainings just for men. There can be training in the future. I don't know, maybe there are already some trainings for non-binary or trans people that did the transition. everyone has the right to constitute themselves into small groups. The important thing is that we don't create septs and we don't create separations. So in the society, there are groups. Even when we give a party, when I give a party at home, there are the groups of children and the groups of adults, for example. And sometimes they split into smaller group. Every group is done to split into smaller group. But the important thing is to remember that we are all in relationship. And the dangerous thing is when we start saying we, them. This is horrible. So for a while, we can constitute smaller groups. Nothing wrong with that. I go into a smaller group when I go to the gym. I go in the smaller group of people that go to the gym. So there's nothing wrong. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly.
Yeah.
As for the goddess here,
can I ask a question? Sorry, because I'm really interested in your daily life and in your habit that you have. So, what makes for you things holy or sacred? What exactly is it, and how do you create it, or can you not create it? It's something that is there.
Yes. Yeah, this is a very beautiful question, because I think we human beings, we naturally remember, so not just a mental memory, it's just something we keep in the body, in the wisdom of the body, from generation to generation, since millennia. We remember that state of being one, the ecstatic moment. What makes things sacred for me is when I can somehow penetrate Aphrodite's veil and go from ordinary reality to an expansion of consciousness in which I can perceive simultaneously the world, the different worlds. I explain me better. The priestess state of being, I describe it as a simultaneous being, attentive, from Latin ad tendere, so to tend forward. So it's a projection outwards, an extroversion to what's around. So I'm attentive and conscious of what's around. And at the same time, I'm concentrated in what's inside of me. So at the same moment, I'm within and without. At the same moment, I'm in and out. At the same moment, I'm talking to you, and I feel deeply in awareness what's moving in my body. So the expression of emotions while I'm talking to you. And that's an ability that it's constantly anesthetized by our today way of living, because we are given stimulus continuously. And so we are not given space, that distance to process the informations. For example, the TV is so different from the reading because the children are not given the time to fill that gap. There is no gap. They are totally invaded. The TV enters inside of you and there is nothing to process. While the reading, you have to fill a gap through your imagination, for example. Or the ready toy that we give to children, it's different from the things they find in nature and they can put together into a toy. So they fill the gap. They penetrate something. They go into another expanded consciousness. And in the book, I speak about Aphrodite's veil, which in iconography has been described as something to cover the sin of having a body, because Aphrodite, as every one of us, was born naked in all her beauty. And she's a goddess that glorifies pleasure, that glorifies beauty, but not that beauty of magazines, the beauty that produces an emotion that moves the heart. So the sacredness for me, it's pleasure and beauty that move the heart. That beauty that fills me with wonder. And it can happen in any moment in which I also can, I have the power to use my will to shift consciousness also when I am washing the salad. So it's not necessarily something that has to happen into a ceremony with lots of people with beautiful dresses. They can help as well. Headdresses, perfumes, incense, like the poetess and Aphrodite's priestess of the past, Sappho, describes this incense in the temple, these apples and the wind and the sound of the waterfalls. But it's also something that you can do into the supermarket if you're trained. We have to train today because we are constantly taken away from that natural state of the human being with a lot of stimulus, the daily running, the rush we put in things. While it's about slowing down a little bit, not necessarily be slow. Slowing down, I think about another quality, a different quality that you know very well in theater. When we trained with Camilla at the Drama Academy, one of the things that I liked the most and I felt very close to my values was the fact that at the first year, the teacher told us, if you are on stage, you don't drink like this, but you drink with intention. You put a different energy. It's not about being fast or slow. It's the energy. And they described it, putting the maximum effort for the minimum result. So the opposite we are taught. Mm-hmm. The minimum effort for the maximum result. So that's what makes things sacred. Invest, giving value, giving significance, giving care. So I hope I answered your question, but it's about putting care, putting beauty, producing beauty, and pleasure. So gaining pleasure out of it. So I think becomes sacred because I gave it a value. I gave it care.
Mm-hmm. Well, that means there cannot be any kind of judgment in something that you really do effort on, and then it becomes something special. You cannot judge it, or it's not about. I was wondering if I'm asking you, can something sacred be guilty? You know,
can you repeat?
Is there something? Is it possible to do something sacred, or to do something holy, or to be in a sacred state, and being guilty or not innocent?
Yeah, we've been killed for that for a lot of times, we women, just because we celebrated with nature, just because we used herbs and talked to herbs, and just because we made the love. So in Aphroditic philosophy and spirituality, sacred sex, not sex, sacred sex is the preferential way to communicate with the goddess. It's a prayer. So it has been considered guilty for millennia.
Yes.
It is still considered as a guilt somewhere. Having a body is considered a guilt for the main patriarchal religions and philosophies that aim to detach from the body, to go out of the incarnation wheel, because this reality, it's bullshit, and the only reality which is sacred is the other world. So everyone is born hoping to die the sooner. It's very sad, isn't it? Well, we want to have fun, which means not living like the new age people, everything is beautiful, let's just smoke and everything will be perfect. Everything is perfect is very, very toxic. So it's not about saying everything is perfect. No, it's not perfect. Otherwise, I wouldn't go everywhere I can to speak about how we have the responsibility to change things, to do our part, to do things. Because saying everything is perfect is also saying, I don't care, everything is perfect. Oh, there are children that are compelled to work. There is pedophilia, there are wars. Everything is perfect. Okay. I would like to put those people into the shoes of a person that is raped for a day and feel emotionally what they feel. So no, not everything is perfect, but we have the responsibility to co-create the world because we are all part of it. So we all contribute to weaving, knitting together. So we cannot do the whole blanket, the whole composition, but we have our threads and we can choose how to weave our part. That's what I mean with co-creating with the goddess. Co-creating with the goddess means we all are the goddess, we human beings, the trees, the animals, everything that's on earth, also the earthquakes, also the tsunamis.
The whole creation.
All creation, exactly. So I co-create, I do my part. Tomorrow I can be, I can die in an earthquake. That's all goddess, because the land that moves is goddess. As, for example, I can be goddess for a little ant that walks on my body, and when I move, the ant falls down. And for the ant, the perception is like our perception as human beings on Mother Earth's body when there is an earthquake. So it's also about perception. But when we understand that we are in relationship and we are not monads, we can act in harmony. It's about understanding we cannot do whatever. We are not unlimited. There are limits, but those limits can give us pleasure and sacredness. The limits give us the sense of sacredness, because I cannot do whatever I want. I could really be disrespectful towards other people. So also understanding there is a sacredness of that, the man of power, because in the top of the pyramid there is a white, rich man. There are white, rich men. They have to accept to renounce to some of the privileges, because those privileges are built on the shoulders of especially women. If we talk about human beings, on women, mothers, especially Black mothers, of the mothers of the places in of the world which are developing, but it's just that they are exploited. And those privileges are also on the shoulders of all the other creatures, all Mother Earth. So this must stop. I'm coming back to you in a while. Considering the sacredness that you said is about understanding we cannot just take and stopping having a predatory attitude, but starting adopting a mutual care. So it's just not one person that takes care of everyone, like the mothers, for example, in our society, mothers are asked to do something that's beyond human abilities, because they are left alone, but there is a village that's needed to raise children. And we have to start, every one of us, to give the contribution, to enter in relationship and to give sacredness to every being and to every act. You wanted to ask something?
Yeah, I was wondering, why is there a need for a goddess? I mean, what you described, could also call mindfulness, or how do you say, Achtsamkeit? It's like it's those tribes that are like spreading a lot, I guess, now. And why? And is your theological world one of a monotheist world? Is it just one goddess that should lead us to like bliss?
That's a good question as well. The mindfulness, it's an American word to describe something, a state of being that's common to every religion and form of spirituality. That's the practice of the full presence. In fact, to make the message be understood and vehicled, sometimes I speak about Aphroditic mindfulness when I speak about Aphroditic full presence, which means full presence that's in the qualities of Aphrodite, which are pleasure, so staying in the pleasure, mindfulness in pleasure, in ecstasy. So it's not just about mindfulness. As I said before, it's about the narrations, because also other philosophies speak about mindfulness, but they are patriarchal, for example. And they speak about a father God from which we all are born. And so the problem that I said before, it's repeated. So it's not enough to speak about mindfulness. I'm glad mindfulness is spreading. In some cases, it's like a fashion, like goddess risks to become a fashion, because capitalism, we are immersed in it, and everything can be exploited, like also the transition. We said before, the people that transition from men to women or vice versa, that's been exploited by capitalism as well. But we have to remember that at the base, before every one of our dialectic discourses and interactions, there are people. And people that weave culture, weave behaviors, weave societies, weave a collective. So it's not enough to speak about mindfulness, but what kind of mindfulness? What is the narration underneath? Because I can stay in mindfulness, but what for? What am I creating? What is the vision? So indulge in mindfulness, it's beautiful because it makes the human being feel better. But what is the reference frame of all of these? So, okay, for syncretism, we all take from other philosophies, religions, traditions. And it is true as long as human beings have always traveled in the world. Always there are contaminations, and it's good because diversity is a value. So we can find traditions and some practices in common. Even in my book, I speak about it. And in what I teach, there are suggestions from India, from what I learned, practices I learned in India, practices I learned in Thailand, in Mexico, in Glastonbury, in Cyprus. That it doesn't have to be how do you call it in Germany? Minestrone. Un minestrone spirituale.
Yeah.
Spiritual.
It's like a soup.
Like
A spiritual soup, yes. But we have to ask, it has to have a reference frame, that it has to be really, really clear. So I see a lot of New Age people mixing here and there. Yeah. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. I'm going to teach you the ancient Indian practices. I'm going to teach you the ancient Mayas practices, Incas practices, Egyptian practices. Yes, but what for? What are we going? What is the vision we are pursuing? What's the direction? What's the sense of that? It's just because it's nice? What are you doing it for? What is the reference frame? When we speak about culture and spirituality, we have to really have in mind always what's the reference frame. Otherwise, we just do something nice. But okay, it's nice, but it's useless, which is fine, but it's not a spiritual path. It's not a path. It's like an activity. It's not a path. So the goddess is the reference frame. Camilla also, and I ask also, I answer also the question you did about feminine and masculine with a sort of drawing. Like you all know the Tao, right?
Tao.
Okay.
Yeah. You know the Tao? It is the yin and yang. Okay. Yeah.
Yin and yang. Okay. The goddess is the whole Tao. She's not the white part. And the god is the other part. The goddess is not the counterpart of a god. She is the mother of creation and regeneration. And there can be the yin and yang, which has also been very, very much misunderstood, because it's not about masculine and feminine. Yin and yang are not masculine and feminine. It has become later like that. Because the risk to identify the goddess just with a woman or a man is that we limit her, because she's not, I speak about a Gilanomorph aspect. Gilan means woman, or anthropomorph means man. So I created this word, this neologism, which is we had the necessity to put her into a Gilanomorph in the shape of a woman, because culture evolved and our comprehension needed to represent her as a woman. But at the beginning, she was not a woman. She was also Aphroditos, as I showed you, so both woman and man. But one of her first representation, I want to show you, it's that black stone, an iconic. Can you see? So it's just a black stone. And it's the tree that's out of here, the goddess. People venerated tree as the goddess as well. She's Mother Earth. She's a mountain. She's a lake. She's rivers. All the rivers have goddess names. For example, in Germany, the Danube, how do you call it? How do you pronounce it? Duna, il Danubio? It comes from goddess Danu. The origin is from goddess Danu. All the rivers have names of goddesses, if we research the ancient sources. So it makes us understand that we all are born from a mother. Even men are born from a mother. So it's about that. It's about recognizing the inclusiveness of this. There is no separation. So the Tao makes us understand there is no separation. So there are different polarities we can express, and they can dance together. But indeed, we are all one reality. And I say goddess is one, and she changes in time and space. So can be monotheistic, like the temple is dedicated to Aphrodite, which for me is the great goddess, also because she is a cosmopolitan goddess who traveled through time and space, and she's famous in Mexico, in Japan. They know her everywhere in the world, and she traveled through time because in spite all the attempts to diminish her by patriarchy, she arrived to us in a way that I could write 400 pages of a book about her and her epithets and her aspects. So she has different aspects, and there are different goddesses. We call her differently all over the world because we need to name. So the power of the word, we need to name our reality to have a map of it. But of course, she will have different shades, and the way we name her will change our perception also all over the world. For example, in other places of the world, in Japan, we have Amaterasu, we have the other goddesses like Kuan Yin, Kali, different aspects according to where we are in the world. Everyone has the right to name the reality for a comprehension, a better comprehension, and all the communities gather for similarities into groups, as I said. But we all are one, and goddess is one. She just changes expression, but she is one. Like, for example, I gave you the example of the ant. If a little insect, whatever insect you can imagine, is walking on my body, the insect will have a different experience of me, which I can be the goddess in the insect's mind. If the insect is walking on my shoulder, on my head, on my foot, on my nails, just as we have a different experience of the goddess if we are in autumn or in summer, we feel differently in the body and in the emotions. Different experiences if we are in Greece or in the North Sea or in Mexico or in Siberia, we will feel differently, right? Emotionally, physically, we will eat different food. We will have slightly different rituals because the landscape is different. But the goddess is one and multiple. So it's both the things you said, one and multifaceted.
So in this oneness, is represented as a woman in order to give the sense of generativity or creativity that you would like to give, right? I mean, it is about being mother. Being mother, not being woman. Yeah. Mother. It can be mother bear. It can be mother snake. It can be the cosmic mother, the black hole from which galaxies are born. The black hole is a good example, I think, because it's really what happens. Takes some matter and energy, alchemizes it, and births the stars and the planets. And there are also some examples of mothers in nature which contributed, which gave birth without a male partner. Like I think it happened in Germany some years ago. The story of the she python, the pythoness, that without a partner, there was no male partner as a python in the reptilary, and she gave birth to other snakes. So the holy conception of a snake. There are some cases in nature.
but it's fun to have a partner. It's way more fun to do it the most common way.
So this is the dimension that we should like recreate in the society and also in us, right? So this sense of motherhood, this sense of generativity, but also like protection, and right? It is about that.
It's about care, I think. It's about mutual care. Also the matriarchies that still exist in the world. And there is a German professor which wrote a big book, but also a short one. She's Heide Gottner-Abendroth. I don't know if I pronounced it properly. I don't think so, but I can write it in the chat because she is a great professor. And she's still researching, and she researched the whole life about matriarchies which are still present everywhere in the world, but in Europe. Only in Europe there are no matriarchies. And those matriarchies, they work excellently like matriarchies of the past. So there are, for example, no words to translate the war, pedophilia, prostitution, feminicide, because the phenomenon does not exist. They don't have this phenomenon. So when people tell me, oh, human beings have always made war, I say false. That's a historical false, because there are traces still existing, but also of the past, in which we have proofs of matriarchies in which there were no wars and goddess was adored. And the basis of the politics, economics, spirituality and culture, because she analyzes those matriarchies on those 4 levels, the basis is that everything is administrated by mothers. And even when men want to take a position of responsibility on a political and economical level, the quality that is asked them is to behave like a good mother. I'm quoting, behave like a good mother. This is the quality they have to have. So it's not enough to have women ruling. They have to substitute the word ruling with caring, first of all. And they have to, the politics nowadays should more look at the matriarchies and behave more like good mothers. Because in matriarchies, there is the gift economy, there is no private property, there is no inheritance, because every person, every family is provided with all they need. It's not communism, because it's not I give all the people the same, but I give all the people according to the needs. I satisfy, there is an attention to the needs, which is different. Mm-hmm. So if I need to, for example, for lunch, I need 200 grams of pasta, and Camilla needs 100 because they're in this, it's enough for her. We both won't be happy if we have 150 grams of pasta each, because this is not answering the need. And this is communism, for example. And it's not. Maya has 300 grams of pasta because she is at the top of the pyramid and Camilla has nothing. Camilla has the 1 gram, one little piece. So there are not people left to the side, to the peripheries. Everyone is included. and like good mothers, administrate all the resources among the children the same in society. So it's a very, very long thing to talk about, and I suggest very much you to read this book if you want to know more about a different mindset, a different way, a different paradigm. So all the books from Heide Gottner Abendroth. You are also facilitated because some of those have not been translated into Italian, so I couldn't read them, but they're in German, so you're very lucky.
To interrupt you just for a second, I need to leave because I have another appointment now. So thank you.
Thank you too. Bye. I think I have to leave in 5 minutes as well because I have another appointment at 1 p.m.
Maya, thank you very much. So would you like guys to say something, or I don't know?
Or maybe another quick question that can be useful for the play for you.
Yeah, rituals, says the dramaturg.
So what do you want to know especially, specifically about the rituals?
How do you do a ceremony?
Okay, there are specific tools and a specific structure of the ritual, which is opening the space, the sacred container, which can be done according to the traditions in different way. So we first purify. It can be with water, it can be with smudging, it can be with lustral sprays, and we smudge every one of the people to put them in the condition to have the divine experience of the goddess in the body and in the emotions, because emotions are the key to every ritual, every ceremony, because ceremony and ritual are a little bit different. The ritual can be also brushing my teeth in the morning. And the ceremony can be done with rituals in it, okay? Ritualizing something. So the ceremony is a shift of consciousness and a moment in which people gather, or I can do it by myself, but the aim is to have experience of the divine and to harmonize with the cycles of nature, for example, or to a specific intent. So we have to get ready for a ritual, but also to have clear in mind what is the intent of the ceremony. So first of all, we project it according to what's the intent, what we want to do. For example, this is a seasonal ceremony. I want to give people the experience to facilitate for them the passage into the next season and to harmonize, to facilitate the harmonization with the cycles of nature. So, for example, we just did the ceremony of Dark Dawn passage. So, Halloween, it's called differently in different traditions. So there is the project of the ceremony, inspirational. According to the intent, I want to help people to jump together into the new phase, into the dark phase of the year, to connect with ancestors, to honor the ancestors and the roots, to find the roots, to express the pain, the sorrow for the loss, because one of the themes is also the loss. So themes, values, experience that I want to vehicle, emotions that I want to, an atmosphere that I want to generate, and intent have to be very clear. Then I prepare the people, I prepare the space, I create the energetic container for that with a meditation, the invocation of the goddess. So this is the amplification of the shift of consciousness in which we can be in a bubble between the worlds. And then there is the declaration of the intent to the people. And then there is the psychomagic act, doing something with the body, with the hands. So it always has to include something with the chanting, with the representation, with the drama, with artistic creation like painting, knitting, knotting, making knots. So it has to be something that helps us to go into other dimensions artistically. And the more we can include different kinds of arts, different kinds of languages, and use the body in different ways and vibrate that energy, the more we can use the body, the space, the sounds, everything, the colors, the atmosphere to vehicle that experience, the stronger the ceremony will be. The key to a good ceremony is to resonate together, the relationship and the emotions. It will work if the emotions are the same. So we have to generate and as priestesses, we have to work subtly with the energies of all the people and to vehicle all the energies that are generated and emotions into the intent. This has to be really clear. And then we close the ceremony and we seal it and ground it into the reality to manifest through the power of emotions. But there is no written text. It's a creative spirituality, and every ceremony will be different from the other. There will be not one ceremony equal to the other. It's not like the Mass in the church where the same words are repeated. Everything is new and everything has to be alive and in movement. So I hope I answered.
Yes, thank you very much.
Very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think it was really interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed the whole speak with you or you speaking with us. So thanks.
I'm glad you liked it, and I hope it was useful for you. I really hope so. But if you have other questions, you can also ask to Camilla and she can forward them to me and I will write them. So if you need whatever during the play, during the rehearsals, you can count on me.
Maya, thank you very much. Thank you.
And break a leg. Not really, not really. You already did it, Camilla. It's enough. When we were rehearsing, Camilla broke a leg many years ago. So
it was
in the metaphorical sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you all and enjoy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
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 Ciao. Di cuore, ciao. Ci sentiamo.